Alright, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Doctor Who review, episode number 118. Yeah, I did watch basically Doctor Who episode today. I figured, why not? And I needed to, despite the yes, I still have Fraternal Ultraman Princess I'm trying to worry about. But I figured though, why not? I'm home, I need something to watch while I'm basically doing some work. So I got this one done. A very popular Doctor Who story. Not exactly one of my top favorites, because it does feature any of the classic monsters per se, but it's a good story. This being The Pyramid of Mars, which is I believe it's the second story of, I think this is season 13 of the show. Yep, season 13. And for the most part anyways, wait.
Dinner's ready.
Anyways, yes. So, basically, so the whole thing of this one is that it's set entirely in the year 1911. So you have Doctor and Secretary. As a matter of fact, if you ever seen a image of Tom Baker in New Who, where it basically is like pick his head up and look at the floor, it's from this very story. As a matter of fact, it's from the very first shot. I have heard also that the TARDIS debut in the previous story is actually not here because it was too expensive. So there was a reason for it. Now, the thing is, the whole story of this one is that we have this Egyptian professor, well actually, a professor of Egyptology, where he is basically uncovering a tomb. Apparently, like, the diggers there are, well, they're Arab anyways, which a lot of people probably saying that like, okay, it's Egypt, but why are there Arabs there? Well, that's due to the fact that the Arabs control Egypt. They have controlled Egypt for the past 1,000 years. Yeah, ever since, like, I think, like, around the Crusades is when they basically conquered Egypt, when it was part of the Ottoman Empire originally. But that's kind of where it is there. So if anybody ever sees anything set in Egypt in modern day, you can expect to see Arabs there. That's kind of basically how it is with that. So, like, oh, curse, run away! And then never seen it again. Of course, then the professor, Marcus is his name, where he is just going through his room and then gets hit with something. And then later on, he is actually brainwashed by the main villain of the story, Sukadef, aka Seth, from Egyptology, except basically he's an alien from a species known as the Osirians, which I'm sure is named after Osiris, the Egyptian god of, I believe, Egyptian god of death, I believe he is. Yeah. It's almost like, this is my personal guess, is that probably the reason why this is probably not, let's say, Anubis, because here's the thing about the Osirians. They look like freaking jackals, which the jackal appearance is associated with Anubis, the god of death from Egyptology. So the Doctor and Sarah arrive at this mansion. They kind of just go into this room, a bunch of basically sarcophaguses, and there's also this guy called Dr. Warlock, who's a friend of Marcus's, who wonders what the heck he is, which he's not here. He's actually off in the vacation, and also apparently it's real. Oh yeah, his baggage was not claimed, which. And allegedly, this Egyptian guy, who looks like a British guy with probably some makeup, but British people do live there, and of course he's probably, well, probably the reason they call him Egyptian because he wears the fez hat per se, and he basically has this letter which Warlock looks like it, and he points out though this is a forgery, and he's going to get the police on this, and the fact that apparently Marcus's brother's been banned from his own house for reasons. We also have these mysterious mummies, which are basically robots and bandages. And the whole thing of the story is that, okay, so Marcus is trying, the brainwashed Marcus is trying to free Suki from his prison, which is on Earth, but the prison itself is controlled from Mars. Yes, from Mars' soul pyramid. Because apparently he's so powerful, it's like, yeah, I'm basically going to turn things to ash. And it's all in all just a really damn good story. Sukif is defeated, and he does return. Like, the only time I've ever seen him again after this was probably in a 10th Doctor comic book, published by Titan Comics. But overall, fantastic story. I love all the suspense of this thing, and the fact that it's just the Doctor and Sarah throughout this whole story. And all their characters in the story, they all get killed. Marcus kills his brother Lawrence. Warlock gets killed by one of the mummies. And I believe also... I believe that... And... Let's see. The mummies kill a butler, Warlock, and a poacher. Those three get killed. Marcus is killed because the Brainwasher goes to Sukaneth. And Lawrence is killed by basically Marcus. But also, when Sarah puts on this dress, per se, the first thing he says is, "Oh, hello, Vicky." And at least, basically, Tom Baker actually mentions that, well, there was someone named Vicky who did basically travel with him, referencing a second Doctor companion, which is good of him for doing that. Overall, fantastic story. Give it a 10 out of 10. Next up, we have a Doctor Who novel. I don't think I've ever covered a Doctor Who. I think I have once. But enough, let's go on. This one is basically Lethbridge-Stewart Year 1, The Forgotten Son, written by Andy Frankham Allen. Now, this is all about Lethbridge-Stewart. And from the point of view of this very story, this picks up almost immediately after the events of Web of Fear, which was his debut appearance. I thought this is sort of a prequel story to that. No, this is set just afterwards, because I mentioned that they had the repopulated London. Arnold was dead because he died in the original story. And then he gets to the morgue. Apparently his guard is also Evanston's story too. Travers is mentioned. Professor Travers. He is not mentioned. He's not in the story at all. They do reference Mountain the Snowman in this story, which I thought was really cool. His daughter appears halfway to the story. And they kind of recreate the events of Fear with the Yeti returning and the Great Toads returning. Except that instead of taking over the whole city of London this time, they take over like this house and this school area covered in webbing. The Yeti much more ferocious in the story. We also see Lethbridge-Stewart. Now, we don't see the Formation unit just yet, per se. It's like it's on the table, but we're not there just yet. He is congratulated his efforts. And Brigadier is like the main character of this whole book. And there's a guy named Douglas, who's a friend of his, appears in the story. And if you're curious, though, this book is only 254 pages. Now, the thing is, I had no idea this series even existed. I knew about other Doctor Who books, but I did not know about this one. Yeah, this is actually this book only came out. I kid you not. It was released in the UK roughly 10 years ago. It was released here like last year. Like, this is actually the first thing of like 10, 12 volumes, I think it is. Want your hands on more? Yes. Not published by BBC Books, published by a company called Candy Jar. Yeah, and I do in fact enjoy that we have a story featuring Brigadier Lethbridge-Stewart. Well, here he's not the Brigadier just yet. He's still Colonel Lethbridge-Stewart. Yes, you can tell by his hat he wears, because that's what he wore in Web of Fear, because by the time it pops up in Invasion, his hat is gone, and that's when Unit first formed. So, this whole series is probably going to be basically a series of adventures that he goes on prior to seeing him up again in Invasion, which I thought was really cool. I give this book roughly a 10 out of 10. It just is so fun, this book. Will I get my hands on the other books? Yes, I will. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all later for possible Ultraman. Okay, thanks, people. Bye.